Honorable Men Discord. Olympic gold medalist Sha'Carri Richardson was arrested for domestic abuse. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the notification button. So, if you're unfamiliar with this story, Olympic gold medalist Sha'Carri Richardson was arrested in the airport for domestic abuse towards her boyfriend, who was also a track and field star by the name of Christian Coleman. All right. Now, Christian did not want her to be arrested, so he did his best to defuse the situation. But based on her behavior, the authorities picked her up regardless, and she sat in prison for a couple of hours. Now, here's the thing. All right, let me get to this news report, and then I'm gonna go into what he had to say about the ordeal, and then I'm gonna speak on it further. So let's just get into this news report, courtesy of WPLG Local 10.
It is time for Fresh Daily, your dose of trending topics.
Well, first, the top scoop of the day: a famous athlete arrested. Oh, this news breaks my heart. Olympian track star Sha'Carri Richardson, she was taken into custody and charged with fourth-degree domestic violence assault. So this comes after an alleged altercation with her boyfriend, who's a fellow runner, Christian Coleman. In this incident, it turned physical. The two, they were at the airport in Seattle last Sunday and apparently got into a fight as they left security. Well, Richardson is accused of pushing him several times before he fell and was released from jail this past Monday.
All right. This is his reaction to what happened. All right. Well, his response, I should say, to what happened.
It's a sucky situation all around. Like, I don't feel as if, like, she should have been arrested. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you know, people have discussions and emotions and stuff like that. Does she have, like, things that she needs to work on for herself? Of course. And so do I, so do you, like, everybody. And I'm the type of guy, like, I'm in the business of just, like, extending grace and mercy and love. And I feel as if, like, I don't try to look at obstacles either. Like, I just look at, like, situations like this to just, like, you know, take a step back, analyze yourself mentally, and then just try to see what you can do to be your best self so that you can move forward, so you can just be the type of person and a human that God needs you to be for his kingdom and for his glory. And so that's kind of how I look at the situation. And like, and I hate the narrative too of just like, you know what I'm saying, it's so negative. But like I said, it's just like in the state of Seattle, even talking to the cop or whatever, he was just like, it really was nothing I could do. It's just like, I understood. But I mean, like I said, it was just a sucky situation, but she's a human being.
I'm going to stop it there, all right, because there's not much that I need to hear beyond this. So here's what I have to say about this. Men and women alike do not accept this type of behavior from your partner, period. The moment you accept this type of behavior from your partner, it escalates. Now, you could have wishful thinking, you could want the best for them, you could pray on it, but most times when this type of behavior takes place in public spaces, especially in public spaces is what I'm talking about, not making it acceptable in a private setting. So if your spouse is acting like this or your significant other is acting like this behind closed doors, that does not make it acceptable. But even furthermore, when it's happening in public spaces, it's unacceptable. This brother right here, based on what he's been saying within this interview, it's clear that he's a Christian. And I respect him for that, obviously. But here's the problem, right? And by all means, if any of you disagree with me, I'll see you in the comments. Just keep it respectful. The problem with this is you can show love as a Christian to a person, regardless if they're just a friend of yours, regardless if they're an acquaintance of yours, a spouse, a husband, a wife. But when it turns physical, there comes a point in time when you have to make a clear decision. Right? This is not something that you could play around with. All right. Now, I know most people who are in marriages that are physically abusive, they will tend to just say, you know, I'm gonna pray on it, I'm gonna pray on it, I'm gonna pray on it. In a marriage, I can respect if you are choosing to stay locked into it and you're preying on it. But here's the thing. Only the person within that relationship knows whether or not this thing has been a ongoing thing. And when I say ongoing thing, I'm talking about physical abuse. If you've been physically abused over a period of time, you need to end that relationship. If you disagree with me, I'll see you in the comments, but you need to end that relationship. In this situation, I would put money that this is not the first time she's acted this way in public. And regardless of the fact whether or not she needs help, professional help, that's beside the fact. You don't have to deal with these type of situations just because the other person needs help. That's not an excuse to accept it. He seems to be accepting it because clearly I'm assuming he loves her. That's not a reason to accept physical abuse. I don't care if you're in a relationship, and everything I'm saying applies to men and female alike. I don't care if you're in a relationship and you love the person, so you're accepting the physical abuse. It's unacceptable. You may be accepting it, but at some point in time, it's going to escalate. Okay, it's rare that physical abusive relationships stay on one level. It starts to escalate because the person who is committing these type of acts gets comfortable, and once they realize you're the type of person to just accept it, prey on it, give them grace, it's going to escalate. It's going to first start off behind closed doors, then it's going to happen outside, then outside is going to go from pushing and shoving to you're going to get smacked in your face in public spaces. You know, it's going to continue to a level until you realize enough is enough, whatever that level may be. And hopefully it's not to the point where you're losing your life and you still never figure it out. All right. Now, I know there's going to be women possibly that's going to defend Sha'Carri Richardson. This is not a men against women thing. This is a right and wrong thing. All right. And again, this message is for men and women alike. It's unacceptable. What he's doing is unacceptable. He's an individual. He's a grown man, as she's a grown woman. So clearly he's accepting this, and he's accepting this behavior maybe out of love or maybe out of fear that he can't get someone better than her. But listen, anyone accepting someone who is going to be putting hands on you, that's not the one. All right. I don't care if it's the one based on, for females, if he's over 6 feet, or he's muscular, or I love his locks, or whatever, so on and so forth. And for men, she has a small waist, fat booty, thick legs, she knows how to dress, her beautiful eyes. Whatever your reason is for accepting it is ridiculous. All right. Again, anyone disagreeing with what I'm saying, I'll see you in the comments. Keep it respectful. My delete finger is notorious. It's superb. It's excellent. It's undisputed. I'm saying all this to say that Sha'Carri, regardless of what her situation is, whatever past trauma she's going through, as an adult, you are expected to take initiative and seek counseling. Whether or not she's done so or not, I don't know, right? If she is doing counseling after an act like this, let's just, perfect example. Let's say she's been taking counseling whilst this happened, or up until this happened, right? It would be in Christians' best interest to now say, all right, you've been taking counseling and look at how you acted. You got yourself arrested, and I didn't try to make sure they arrested you. I did my best to defend you, but you got arrested. He needs to now tell her, listen, we need to take a time out, and you need to continue your therapy. If he loves her, if he just can't help but to stay with her, which it seems like this is what it is going to be, he needs to tell her, we're going to take a time out. You lost it. And even though I'm supportive of you, we can't continue doing stuff like this, because I'm not going to continue defending you. He needs to set the rules and parameters. I'm not going to continue defending you. I did so at the airport, but I'm not going to accept this behavior. You need to continue working on yourself. We're going to take a time out. You focus on yourself. You focus on track. I'm going to focus on my personal career, and we'll see where things are in a few months or so. We're going to take some steps back. That is the proper way of addressing this. Is he going to do that? I don't know, but I would assume he's not going to do that. I'm going to assume that she's done this before. The only difference is maybe authorities didn't, wasn't in a space where authorities would step in it. Maybe it was in the street, and so when no officers are not going to just hop out of a car because of a domestic dispute. But clearly the news report said she pushed him several times, and then he also fell down. As a man, first of all, I'm not accepting any type of pushing from anyone, because a female wouldn't want me to push her back, right? It works both ways. This message is for men and female alike. This is not taking a side. This is right and wrong. So stay with me with this, right? I'm not accepting anyone pushing me, much less if I fall down. If I fall down, it's a wrap, because first of all, my pride is hurt. And chances are, if I stand up, I may end up pushing you back, because now you embarrass me in public. I'm not accepting, and I'm not by no means am I condoning men retaliating with force because a woman put hands on them. What I am saying is, if a woman puts hands on you, it should be a wrap. It should be a wrap, because you know very well that female is most likely not going to control her hands, and you're just putting yourself in a situation at some point in time you may snap, and now you find yourself locked up, all right, or jeopardizing your brand if you're someone with a business, or if you have a professional contract. Why do it to yourself? Why put yourself in these situations? Same thing for females. Why put yourself in these situations? She's so unhinged, she's risking her Nike brand. Now, will Nike drop her? I don't know. I really don't know, because it's not like he pressed charges against her. This is something that the authorities stepped in and arrested her. But it doesn't look good for her Nike brand regardless of the fact. So she just may lose her Nike contract over this. All right? Because she can't control herself. If you can't even, as an adult, see the bigger picture. I've talked about this before on other episodes. These individuals are blessed to be in their position. Not everyone who runs track and field make it on a level where you have sponsors like Nike, Adidas, Reebok, Puma, so on and so forth. You must understand, if you fit in those categories where you play a particular sport, professional, whether it's overseas, whether it's here in the States, United States, you have to understand you've been privileged, you've been blessed. The only thing you should be doing is doing your best to walk the straight and narrow. I know it's not easy. I know none of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. But just understand, you're in a privileged situation. Earlier today, I came across a documentary on TV, and I was looking at what was going on in Haiti. And I don't want to digress too much, but it really, from time to time, when I see these documentaries and see how certain people are living in other countries, I realize all the complaining I do in the States is just ridiculous. It really helps me fine-tune the way I think and put things into perspective, right? Because we can easily sit back and say, oh, I don't have this. I don't have the latest car. Oh, I don't have the chain like that guy has a chain. Oh, that guy has a nice watch. I don't have the nice watch. Oh, that guy has an Apple Watch, but I don't have the new one. Mine is like 3 years old. Oh, I don't have designer this, designer that, so on and so forth. I don't have the nice house. I don't have a deck in the back with a jacuzzi. I would love a deck in the back with a jacuzzi, right? But we always look outward at what other people have, especially those that have more than us, and we start to complain about what we do have. But I would advise anyone feeling like they don't have enough to take a look at some documentaries that you see on YouTube about other countries and the living circumstances that they're under, and humble yourself, because trust me when I tell you, you're blessed. All right, you're blessed. Now, in this situation, going back to this, because I don't want to digress too much. Listen, people, male or females, you have to make decisions that make sense for your peace of mind and just for for your health. All right. If somebody's putting hands on you, that is not the one. And if that person is constantly saying, oh, I'm going to get therapy, hold them to it. Don't continue to take the abuse in hopes that they're going to get the therapy. And by all means, don't put yourself down by staying in it just because they look attractive. That's not a reason to stay with them. It's really not a reason. And you have to take a look in the mirror and say to yourself, how much do I love myself if I'm accepting this? Because regardless of how good that person lives, trust me, there's someone else that probably looks just as good or better that's going to treat you right and not put hands on you. That's my message. I stand on it wholeheartedly. You can disagree with me, and that's fine. That's what this channel is for. Just keep it respectful in the comments. But I honestly think he needs to, if he loves her, because it doesn't seem like he's going to leave her, give her a timeout and say, listen, you got to go work on yourself. We're not going to keep doing this. Because I can only imagine how much of a public display she put on to get arrested, despite him being the victim, saying he didn't want her to get arrested. Just think about how much of a show she put on. And we've covered this in other videos, all right, about our community as a whole, and how some of us in our community carry on out in public. It's unacceptable. And trust me when I tell you, there's no one that beautiful, or for females, there's no one that handsome that makes it worth staying in an abusive relationship. All right? Most times than not, it only gets worse. Do yourself a favor, love yourself, choose better. But that's all I have on this topic. As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let your friends tell your friends to tell their friends. I drop episodes daily, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and I appreciate all your support. Stay honorable.